All right, welcome in. It's Tuesday. It's $5 Tuesday at Wager Talk. Get the promo out of the way. We are going to have $5 plays up as we do every week, but this hour is total bases, which means we're giving out free picks for the next 60 minutes. Your go-to show for Major League Baseball, free picks. We've got the full band back together today. TB's back in the house, and we're going to get right into it. Tokyo Brandon is... Oh, I just realized you're on the right today. So you know what? We're going to start with you on this one because you picked this game, and I agree with you. I asked you, what do you think the feature game in Major League Baseball tonight is? And I agree. I think it's Pirates-Brewers because you have the Brewers are doing something that's now bordering on like history. The run they've been on over, I think it's like the past 30 games, is one of the best 30-game runs in like the history of Major League Baseball. Multiple double-digit win streaks this year for them, and they're up against maybe the best pitcher in the game, or one of them, certainly one of them, in Paul Skeens. So let's kick it off. Pirates-Brewers. How do you bet this game?
Yeah, so if any of you need your team to go on a huge winning streak, just ask me to badmouth them because that's what I did, and the Brewers started playing like this. So yeah, it's $5 Tuesday today. I am in the mountains of central Japan. So the internet connection's great. Everywhere you go in Japan has a fiber connection, so no problem there. But the lighting's a little off and my microphone probably sounds like garbage because I'm doing this on a laptop. But anyway, I'm here. I do have my play up for $5 Tuesday already, and you can download my my pitcher stats from my page for free today. So regarding this game, yeah, I mean, it's weird to say that the Pirates are in a game of the day, but I think that's what we have here. Skeens, I have him ranked number 1 out of 220 starting pitchers, and his numbers against these Brewers are really good. He's got a 109 average against and a 272 OPS against, which is a little high on the OPS, but the average is great. And he didn't give up too many runs when he faced him before. Freddie Peralta, also great pitcher, having a good year, and he's backed by probably the best lineup in Japan, or the best lineup in MLB right now. His stats against the Pirate batters are a little bit worse than Skeens, but they're not terrible. So team comparison here, both bullpens playing really well. Actually, the Pirates bullpen is playing a little bit better. And the starting pitchers both ranked very high. Milwaukee's lineup, I have them ranked 4 right now, and I have the Pirates ranked 14, which is above average. I would look to a first 5 under 3.5 in this one. I think both pitchers are doing really well. Only thing you have to worry about is whether Skeens can hold this number 4 lineup down. And given his history against them, I think he can hold them to 4 runs or less. So I think, or 3 runs or less. So I think first 5 under 3.5 would be the way to go for me in this one.
I'm looking at it a little different, but let me just get to the current lines on here. Skeens and Peralta. We're looking at Milwaukee, basically a 120 favorite. It's not often you're going to get a team on this kind of winning streak. Was a 120 favorite playing at home, but he's going against Skeens. If you the total is either 6.5 over or 7 under, and 6.5 over, you're laying, the best line out there is Heritage about -118. But if you like the over, I mean, if you take a look at the park factors today, although total runs in this game has no advantage based on the weather, stadium, the whole bit, the home runs are plus 31%, which is the second best in baseball today, right behind of Sutter Health Park in Sacramento. And we know that that's a good home run hitting ballpark. So this could be a game where these pitchers the game will be decided likely by home runs. And if that's the case, I don't want to play under 6.5. There's 7s out there if you want to lay the juice, but I'd prefer the over here a little bit, and only because it's tough for me to see how this Milwaukee, if you take a look at the last 14 days in WRC Plus, Milwaukee's at 153. But Pittsburgh's been pretty good too. They're at 101. Pittsburgh has been a team that's either been terrible or good all season long in hitting. And right now, the last couple of weeks, they've been pretty good. So I don't want to play this Milwaukee situation under the total because they have not been going under very often. They've been winning their games a lot of different ways. Yesterday's was a blowout. I think if they win this one, it'll be a close one. But I kind of like the over if you can get that 6.5 at -125 or less. And most of the places seem to either have that or they've got the 7.
Yeah, so I guess if the Brewers win this game, the George Webb burger chain owes everyone free burgers. I think it's a 12-game winning streak. Someone in the chat pointed that out yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Great information, but I think they have to sweep. It's sort of like the guy in Houston that owns the
mattresses.
Yeah, Mattress Max.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm sure the burger place would actually love to have everyone down for free burgers. That tends to be a net positive for businesses like that. So that would be with another Brewers win, but I don't think that's going to have any impact on the game. I don't think that's, it is an interesting little thing. I wanted to point out, we appreciate the comments like that. So, we love, I think we just lost. I think we just lost our template. I'm not sure how. I'm suddenly on tea time.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened. Yeah. Hold on a second. Let me, I wonder if one of our producers is in here.
There we go.
I think.
Okay. We're back.
Okay. I think Dan's fixing us up. I think we're all set. So
if we have to talk golf, this is going to be a short show.
No, you don't want to hear me. You don't want to see me play golf. You don't want to hear me talk golf. Can't do either.
My Instagram's not showing up. Oh, forget it.
I think that's okay.
Or
I think
Dan's,
our producer Dan's in the back tweaking some stuff for us, so it should be fine. But let's get back to this game. So one of our chat members made a comment so yesterday this game this series came up, and we kind of talked about this series at some point being a letdown for the Brewers, and as we talked to the game. Talked through the game last night, I think that's kind of how Bryan and I looked at the game, but we sort of said, well, but do you want to back Andrew Heaney? What has he done to make this be the guy that you want to take to fade the Brewers? Brewers are top 10 in the league in WRC plus against left-handed pitching, and Heaney's not a great left-handed pitcher, right? And that's pretty much how it played out. Brewers got to Heaney. They did what they had to do, and they won the game, and they won the game convincingly. So what Thomas Garcia says is kind of how I'm sort of thinking about this. We keep saying the Brewers are due for a letdown. Why not against Skeens? Now, I agree with that because not only do you get the possibility of Milwaukee, playing having a dud or having a letdown, but you're also getting the best, arguably the best pitcher in the National League, one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. So this is totally different scenario from yesterday because you have the fact that you have Skeens on the mound to fall back on, right? It's not just like you're looking at the Pirates, or I'm sorry, you're looking at the Brewers to play a bad game. The Brewers could play a bad game, but you're also getting the better pitcher, in my opinion. I like Peralta, but I still think Skeens plus money, you have the edge in starting pitching. So at plus 115, it's tempting to take Skeens and the Pirates. But then I think you ask yourself, and I'll go to Bryan Leonard, who I think wants to comment on this. Do you even do it? Do you mess with the Brewers right now? Are you going to feel stupid if the Brewers win and you could have had them at a -120 favorite with how good they've been playing?
I just think there's no way you're going to have a letdown when you're playing quite possibly the best pitcher in baseball. You're going to get up for that. Now, yesterday there was reasons to play for the letdown, but as I said, every time we thought they were going to have a letdown, they take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, sweep the Dodgers, whatever. Every team they played, the Cubs, after that, they continue to win. And so this is a team right now, letdowns don't happen to everybody. And this is a young team that's not used to being this good. You have more of a letdown if you're a veteran team that, like the Yankees or Houston or somebody that's had a lot of success in the past. I don't think it's going to happen. I can't wait for this game.
Turnbuckle Tommy makes a good point. Oh, sorry, TB, go ahead.
I just wanted to comment real quick. Yeah. the Brewers have been playing some really good series lately, but none of them were against the best pitcher in MLB. So
Yeah, and listen,
and the Pirates are hitting better than the Brewers right now. So
yeah, I mean, listen, there's been some good fortune, no question about it. I think the Brewers batted around in a game the other day, and they only had like 2 hits. I think they were able to bat around in an inning with like only 1 or 2 hits, like errors, walks. Like there was a play in last night's game, not that it really changed the game, but I think the ball hit the ump and like landed in the first baseman's glove for the out. Like, listen, when you're running good, you're running good. Like stuff like that happens. Turnbuckle Tommy, I wanted to just make his point here before we move on from this one. Why are you trying to catch a falling knife, Adam? Yeah, no, I mean, that's a very valid point and what will likely keep me off this game. Plenty of other plays on the board, and he needs way more than plus 105 to back the Pirates. And I think that's a good point too. It's like it's still the Pirates, and you're still paying for Skeens a little bit. So like if we go back to yesterday's game, you were getting Pirates plus 1.5 in that game, essentially, for like a minus 110, minus 115. Now the Pirates have to win. So you are paying for Skeens. It's not like you're getting like this like insane value with Skeens here, because you're still on the road with the Pirates. So maybe this is one that you just pass, but I'm glad we talked it out because I think it was a good discussion. Go ahead, Bryan.
Just final one note: the Pittsburgh Pirates on the road are 17-40.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Yeah, no, it's rough, and that's
What's
another very good point. I can't imagine he's got many decisions. I'm sure he pitches fine, but
that's true.
He's
7-8 on the season, but he's got a 2 ERA on the road. So
his numbers are going to be good. His numbers are going to be great, but like I would be interested, and I don't have it in front of me, how many of those games, how many of his road starts actually turned into Pirates wins? That would be my guess is not many.
I don't have that.
My guess is not many.
Yeah.
Jose Perez is
14, I'd say.
Frankly, the Pirates bullpen is better than the Brewers bullpen, is my opinion. So, well,
I'll give the Pirates credit where credit is due. They do have some nice relief pitchers down there, and they've mixed and matched. I love when they use Braxton Ashcraft out of the bullpen. They moved Bednar, but they have some capable relievers. That is why they've played good ball of late. We talked about this yesterday, TB. They're playing good ball, and they're one of those teams that, in spite of their team trying to sell off some players or keeping some of their better players down in the minors, have played respectable ball since the All-Star break. So all good points. Probably nothing that's going to lead us to a play, but I think I think they're good points. Jose Perez, good morning. Good morning to you guys. It's $5 Tuesday at Wager Talk. Everyone's going to have a play up for $5, so check that out. We're going to get to more games here. Russell Deck, it brings up the game that I was going to go to the feature game, so let's go there. He says Cubs offense has gone missing. Not very consistent lately. Yeah, that is a point that we made sort of last week, and it kind of sort of showed up into the weekend. I think they maybe had one run in one of those games against the Reds, and I don't think it's a stretch, Bryan Leonard, to say that this team, for now going on maybe a month and a half, has not packed the same punch offensively that they had maybe like the first sort of, we'll call it the first half of the season. At the same time, I don't know. Are we fading that? Do we trust Berrios here? Like, it's an interesting game. Start us off, Cubs, Blue Jays.
Yeah, it's something that we see in the NFL all the time, where the team will be running good in week 3, and everybody thinks this is the team to beat. And it's easier to keep track of because obviously there's not 162 games in the NFL, but everything is broken up by 1 week. So every week, if we were to check baseball and keep track of it in weeks as opposed to football, we noticed that these teams 1 week, there was many times this season we thought Detroit was the best team in baseball. We thought the Yankees were the best team in baseball, the Cubs, and now everybody's talking Brewers. Well, until the Brewers lose, you've got to admit that they're playing the best baseball out there. But it's a long season, and it's something to keep track of. And, the Cubs have not done anything in a while. They got Brown going against Berrios today in Toronto, and Berrios is about a 120 favorite, total of 9. To me, that's a cheap number on Toronto. Berrios has continued to overperform his expected values. And Ben Brown is a guy that's been sent down to the minors at least once this year because he's just been very inconsistent. This is a guy for the Cubs, granted, I like him overall. I think he's going to have a nice career, but he's only got really 2 pitches. The four-seamer he throws 57% of the time, the curve 38%. He throws a change 5%. He needs to develop more. Right now, he should be coming out of the bullpen. If you ask me if I'm his manager, I have him as a late night or a late game bullpen guy. I think he had a lot of success with just 2 or 3 pitches. You can't have starters that throw 2 or 3 pitches because by the time you get to the second and third time a batter sees him, he's already seen everything he's got. He comes in with a 6.04 ERA, 1.44 whip, expected 4.45. He's thrown 147.2 innings pitched in his career. He's got a 5.12 ERA and 1.31 whip. That's not a guy I expect to perform well against Toronto, the hottest hitting team in baseball in the last two weeks. Brown's average exit velocity in the 1st percentile, barrel rate in the 8th percentile, hard hit rate in the 11th percentile. There's no way in hell this line should be like this. And this is coming from a guy who I've never been a Berrios fan. But as I mentioned, you take a look at Berrios, his expected ERA compared to his actual ERA this year. It's about 0.7 lower. Last year, it's 1.4 or 1.1 lower. The year before, 0.9 lower. I mean, you can go through his entire career. There's only been really 2 times in his entire career where he hasn't overperformed his numbers. Sure, you take a look at StatCast page. It's not great. His best thing he does is his chase rate, and he also is lousy in the barrel rate, 11 percentile. But he does throw 5 pitches, and his four-seamer only throws 19% of the time, which is good. He's basically a sinker and slurve pitcher at this point. Comes in with a 3.89 ERA, 4.60 expected, 1.27 whip. I'm not a huge Berrios fan, but you've got to think they have the advantage in starting pitcher. They have the advantage in the offense right now, no doubt about it. And the pitching staff for the back end of the bullpen has been pretty good. They figured it out a little bit. So I think this is a bargain. I'm going to use Toronto as my part of the parlay today. You could get them right now for about let's go with the 120. Toronto minus the 120 on the money line, and that'll be my play.
So looking at this, I don't have enough info on Ben Brown. He hasn't pitched enough innings in the last 30 days for me to get a read on him, but my numbers do rank him a little bit higher than Berrios, and I have the Cubs bullpen in current form ranked a little bit higher than the Blue Jays, but the Blue Jays are just crushing the ball. Granted, that 3-game series against Colorado where they scored almost 50 runs in 3 games probably has something to do with skewing those numbers a little bit. But even before that series, they were crushing it pretty good. The Jays have a power-packed lineup. The Cubs on paper have a power-packed lineup, but they're not really performing well. I have them ranked 20 out of 30 teams in current form. So I give the Jays the advantage in the hitting here, but not much else. Berrios' numbers against the Cubs in his career worry me a little bit. They're a little bit high for my liking, and also his home numbers are actually worse than his road numbers, so that worries me a little bit too. But this is definitely a hitter's park. I mean, maybe not so much this year, but last year, man, balls were just flying out of this stadium. They are to an extent they are this year too, which is probably why the Jays are always ranked top 5, top 10 in hitting. I'm going to stay away from this game, though. I don't have a good read on Brown. If I had some good numbers on Brown that showed me he's performing better than Berrios, I would go with the Blue Jays as well. But as it is, I'm going to lay off.
Ben Brown is a perfect illustration of like the difference between AAA and the majors. Okay. At AAA, he'll dominate. He got sent back down to work on some stuff. He had 2 starts. He looked great. And the reason is if you have a 96 mile an hour fastball that you can locate in AAA, and then you just throw some other nonsense up there every once in a while, you're going to do pretty good at that level. In the majors, you can't have two. It's very tough to have two pitches as a starter. We've talked about this with other guys that come up. And for Ben Brown, it's tough because that fastball that he throws, the 90, all these guys can hit velo. So your 96-mile-an-hour fastball for Brown when he's in the big leagues, probably because he needs to, because he's not getting much swing and miss on the curveball, and he's you have more disciplined hitters. That ball comes out over the plate. He has one of the highest exit velocities of anyone in the league this year at the big league level. Okay. And you're talking about a Toronto Blue Jays lineup that is relentless. 1 through 9. No one has a bad at bat. You can have Ernie Clement down there in the 8 hole. Does not matter. 1 through 9, every at bat's a good at bat from the Blue Jays. So, Brian, you make a great point. Should be a reliever. This is a guy that if you bring him out of the bullpen to face a couple of hitters that he matches up well with, he's going to get outs. He may even go through the lineup once and be fine. But I don't think he was even supposed to be in this spot. I think this was Mike Soroka's spot. And then Soroka got hurt and they called Brown back up because he only had like 2 starts down at AAA. And I think the plan was to leave him down there for a while and try to develop a second pitch that he can really throw and get something out of. Right now, he doesn't have that second pitch. So yeah, he's going to get some swing and miss. That fastball's got life. Don't get me wrong. He's got 96 alive fastball. And if this is a day, or if you get a team where it's like they're a little bit less disciplined at the plate and he can get some swing and miss and he's hitting corners, he can throw it out of the zone, he's going to be fine. But the Blue Jays, find me a better line. Find me a lineup that has better at bats 1 through 9 than the Blue Jays right now. You could count on maybe count on one hand the number of teams in the league that you would put ahead of them in that scenario. So right there, I dislike the setup for the Cubs. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Cubs did generate some offense out of Berrios. I think you look at his StatCast page, a lot of the numbers suggest some regression. I feel like he puts himself into tough spots sometimes, and to his credit, he's done very well, a very good job of pitching out of those spots. But even with the Cubs slumping a little bit, that's still not, the Cubs still have pretty good at-bats 1 through 9 as well. And I think they'll still make him pay. If there's a scenario in this game where the Cubs have bases loaded, less than 2 outs, I've seen Berrios get out of that jam a couple times against teams like the White Sox, the Angels. Hard to do that against the Cubs. So I'll call this one over. I'll give you a total for this one. Not going to put another thing in the parlay that's the same thing. And I'm not a great totals handicapper. I almost never put them out as best bets. I think it's been 2 years since I've had a totals best bet. But this under 9 looks a little light. I would have made it 9.5 or 10. So I do think there's some value on the over. And I think that's a good bet if you're looking at a total today. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I just want to ask Brandon, you had mentioned Brown against Toronto. This is an interleague game. He couldn't have faced him very often.
No, I said I don't have a read on Brown. I said I have him ranked.
His past, he's done well against this team or whatever.
No, Berrios got rocked against the Cubs in the past, but I don't think I mentioned Brown's past against the
I'm sorry.
Toronto.
I misread. I apologize.
I don't have any numbers on that. If I did, I misspoke.
Hey, Travis Helm says less than 50% on YouTube has hit the like button. Yeah, let's hit that like button. Let's get those likes. Subscribe to the channel. It takes 2 seconds. It really does help the show, and we very much appreciate it. So like and subscribe wherever you're watching. I think actually the only place you can like and subscribe is the Wager Talk YouTube channel. So head on over there for us and help us get those numbers up. We very much appreciate it. Razor Sharp Picks says shout out to everyone. What's up? Yeah, it's Tuesday. It's $5 Tuesday at Wager Talk. So check out our pages. And he says he's on Cubs money line today. So we'll see. I think that's going to be a great game. Both of those pitchers, in my opinion, are prone to getting knocked around. Hopefully for our sake, though, it's the Cubs that get knocked around and Brian cashes this parlay leg. Let's move on. Let's go to another game. Here's a good one. This is funny to me. So I did a double video yesterday, and that's sort of how we do the videos. Here we do, we might do 2 games, and someone called my handicap on the Twins trash. And, my video though was Twins and Rangers. And I kind of went back and I said, well, the Twins was actually like a much better handicap, even though the Rangers was the one that won. Like Zebby Matthews went 5 1/3, 9 strikeouts, 3 runs, had him right in the game, +1.5 for the Twins. They sort of stole it late. The Rangers, on the other hand, which won, was not a good handicap by me, but that was the one that won, and the Twins was the one that lost. So I think, like, something I want you guys to take away from this show is, like, you should be doing that. When you lose a bet, or even when you win a bet, go back and you should sort of be taking notes. Like if I won with the Rangers yesterday, I'm not like over here feeling like I made a great pick. I just think like, hey, like we'll take it, right? The result worked out. But Mark Hinson says Eovaldi got rocked. He was pointing out to some of the bigger, starters that got knocked around yesterday. But I want to focus on the Rangers and Eovaldi because Brian Leonard, that was surprising to me. I mean, I guess he was maybe due for a dud, but the D-backs were all over him. And then how did Arizona just choke that game away? But it was one the Rangers desperately needed. So how are you seeing this one tonight? Do you think the Rangers maybe got some momentum out of that win?
Yeah, first off, I just want to talk about looking at wins and losses and just stopping there. You need to go back and figure out how you won or how you lost, or you're never going to learn to get better. In football, I do a lot of those things where, I know it's a baseball show, but you have game scores, and I have a few different sites I look at. It tells you if this game was to be played again, based on the stats in the game and in certain situations, this is what the final score would have been. And that's a key thing in football is you've got a whole week. And if a team looked really, a team won a game and they didn't look that great, but they won, everybody's going to say, hey, they won. Go back and look at the game score. Did they get lucky? Were they the better team? And you have the same thing in baseball. There's sites out there that do game scores. You could break it down. There's a few guys, you take a look at the total bases. You take a look at the hits, that kind of stuff. And it's not always the team that wins the game was the better team. So there's certain teams like the Brewers right now. We've just talked about that earlier. They've been outplayed in some of these games and they've gotten lucky. But still, they've won the game, and which is good. But you have to have that in your mind that sometimes they won these games and they weren't the better team. And so that's key. If you can't watch a game, and I fully understand, that's our business. We have to watch the games, and I love baseball. We all love baseball. But if you can't watch a game, you can't watch every college football game. And I've got guys that I know that really know as much more about football than I do, and I follow those guys and I listen to them. And that's how you get better. Arizona and Texas here. Let's take a look at the current line. It's got Descalfani and Leiter, and of course my line service just re-upped at that point, so I don't have the current line. But we've got two guys here that can be beat. We talked about that, in the last game. Two pitchers. Descalfani comes in 4.20 ERA. That is actually his career ERA, 4.20. But if you take a look at what he's done, he didn't pitch at all in the majors last year. 2 years before, he's at 4.88 and 6.63. And the 6.63 was only in 19 innings, but still, you got to go with what you got. But in 2023, he pitched about 100 innings, had a 4.88 ERA. So we basically know what we're going to get out of him. Expected ERA is 3.64. It's still a small sample size of 30 innings, so don't read too much into that. But take a look at he's got a lot of pitches he throws, and he's a veteran. And the older you get, the more pitches you seem to develop. Jack Leiter is a guy that obviously he's been on the radar for a long time, highly recruited. And you take a look at his numbers, and you're getting a lot of different stats here. If you take a look at the StatCast page, the red is extremely well in extension. He's only 6'1", which tells you how good the extension is. 89th percentile, fastball velocity, 88th percentile. That's what he throws the most, the four-seamer, 97.3 miles an hour. He's got a good fastball. But take a look at his other numbers. His chase rate, 19th percentile, average exit velocity, 16th, walk rate, 7th, barrel, 12th, ground ball rate, 18th. He comes in with a 4.05 ERA, 4.69 expected, 1.35 WHIP. He's been very good in the minors, but once again, is he a 4A player? We were talking about Brown earlier. Is that the way Jack Leiter is right now? I don't know. The lines now have popped back up again, and we're looking at Leiter about a 145 favorite, 8.5. Yes, I don't want to back DeSclafani, but I'm not a big Leiter fan. And I've talked all season about how this ballpark is played to the under this year. A lot of that has to do with the starting pitchers they have. They've had some really good starting pitchers, but still, the line opened 9 to the under 20. Now it's 8.5, slightly to the over. I would think there'd be some runs scored in here. Maybe we play Texas run total over, something in that effect. Let me check the team totals right now. You got to get 5 runs out of Texas, and you get them at basically even money. If you like Arizona to get to Leiter, they only got to score 4, but it's minus 135. So not a game I'm probably going to be interested in, but it wouldn't surprise me if the hitters have some success here.
So Jack Leiter is one of the guys who I have coined the term chronic walker. He is a chronic walker. He's averaging more than 3 walks per start. And looking at my comparisons here, the Arizona Diamondbacks are walking 3.4 per 9 innings. So one of the higher walking teams in MLB. I'm projecting Leiter to walk 3.5 in this game. So I like his over 1.5 walks. I think it was minus 160. It's a little bit steep of a price. But I wouldn't play over 2.5 because it's a little too risky in my opinion. But over 1.5, I love it for Jack Leiter's walks. Another way you could go here, a guy who walks a lot usually gives up a lot of runs because he's not good enough to overcome the deficiency of putting free guys on base. So I like the Diamondbacks team total. I realize their bats have cooled off significantly, especially since trading Suarez. But I still have them ranked 17 out of 30 teams, which is higher than Texas. I have Texas ranked 21, and that's current form. Texas's bullpen much better than the Diamondbacks, but still only average. Got them ranked 15. And Leiter, I've got him ranked 22 out of 30 on a curve of 30 for starting pitcher. So I think the Diamondbacks could easily get 4 runs here. Nothing's easy in sports betting, so don't twist my words there. But we have to predict the future on probability, and Diamondbacks probably going to get on base quite a bit. Whether they can hit in a clutch situation and bring those guys in or not is a different question. But they're definitely going to get guys on base in this game. So the game total over or the Diamondbacks team total over, I would like, as well as Leiter's walks prop.
We have a couple comments here. So AM in the chat says public overreacts to one high scoring game at Globe Life. All the value in the world on this under. Colin Gregory says over in this game. Also Leiter over walks. I got to be honest, and this is again, take this with a grain of salt. I don't give out really any best bets on totals. I look at this game and I say, how in God's name is the over only 8.5? Like, how are they giving you a key number on the total in this matchup? The reason I say, and to me, it's like, I feel like the books are just like, they're putting a number out on what Jack Leiter could do and not really basing it on what he does. Like, don't get me wrong. Leiter has a lot of upside. Okay. When he puts it all together, which I don't think is that far off, he's going to be very good. I talked about this last year. I talked about this early this year. I don't think the Rangers did him any favors with how they brought him up. I think they threw him into tough situations a couple of times. And then it kind of, I just don't think the Rangers did him favors in terms of his development and then bringing him up, sending him back down, bringing him back up on a couple of occasions. Some of it was need-based, but they really should have let him iron that out at AAA instead of, keep throwing him in the fire at the big league level and expecting something was going to be different. He still has the walks issue. His last 5 starts, three walks or more in his last 5 starts, but the stuff is there. And the thing is, that's the thing. I feel like this number is basically the book saying, well, Like, we're going to price him to his potential. But the problem is he hasn't really shown the potential yet at all, because even the last 2 games, even though he only made it 3 1/3 against the Yankees, 4 walks. He only gave up 1 earned run, but still couldn't get out of the 4th inning. He couldn't get out of the 5th against the Mariners. Same thing, 3 walks. Now he had the 7 strikeouts, and he's starting to rack up the strikeouts. If you look at those 3 consecutive starts, Seattle, Braves, A's, all 7 strikeouts in each, but the walks are still a problem, and he's still giving up some runs. DeSclafani, I don't know why Arizona continues to trot him out as a starter. He was bombed at AAA for the Yankees. They picked him up. He was very solid out of their bullpen. And then obviously, some of it's necessity. They trade away Merrill Kelly. They needed to fill a spot, but why with him? He was one guy that was actually giving you some solid innings out of the bullpen. And now you've put him into the starter role where he hasn't been very good. Now, last time out, he did make it into the 5th, was solid against the Padres. But prior to that, got bombed by the A's. I don't think DeSclafani at this point is a guy that you're trying to go second time through an order on the road with. Like, that to me is like, I think a team like even the Rangers is going to get to him. If they get a second look at him and they get to go second time through, maybe a third time through, they're going to generate some offense. Now you go to the bullpens. Both teams' bullpens are tired. Both teams used bullpen arms yesterday and have some usage coming into this game. And that's the other point that pretty much everyone has made at this point. Arizona's bullpen is awful. One of the worst in the league this year, in its current state right now. So again, and then you've got the Rangers, who do have a solid bullpen, but they've got some usage. So why do both teams not get to 4 here? That's my question. Like, I think this is a pretty good bet. Like, if you look at this and you have an over 8.5, I think the Rangers are probably getting to 4. I think Arizona is probably getting to 4. If that happens, it's a win. If that I think the number's off by a minimum of a half run. And if that's the case, it's a win. Brian, were you going to follow up to that? Go ahead.
Yeah, this ballpark depresses runs by 8% this season. And you talked about the bullpen for Arizona. Their top 4 bullpen guys all pitched yesterday, including Andrew Hoffman, who threw 26 pitches and blew the save. So we've got 2 teams here that obviously have some problems. Normally, I agree. This is a place where I look to play the unders in, but you've got 2 lesser pitchers. You've got bullpens that aren't very good. At least Arizona's is not very good, and they don't have a lot of players that are going to be available tonight. The Rangers did use some bullpen guys yesterday. Phil Maton, heard it pronounced Maton and Maton also, but he's pitched back-to-back games. Garcia, if you've been following Garcia, he's been good for them earlier in the season, but lately he's not pitching well at all. In fact, over the last 14 days, Roster Resource has him rated as the 252nd best relief pitcher in baseball, or best pitcher in baseball. And that's not the guy you want to close games. And the other guy that is a possibility, Colombe, pitched 2 out of the last 3. He doesn't really throw more than – he's just a lefty that comes in and gets the righty out. So they've got some concerns in that bullpen tonight. A lot of guys have pitched 2 out of the last 3 days. So they'll be available, but they won't be at their regular selves. So this is just one of the few times that I would look for an over in this game, this stadium, actually.
Mr. Expo says Leiter's pretty good with runners in scoring position. Yeah, the problem is he's putting them there. Like, the problem is he's doing this to himself. He's creating a jam for himself oftentimes with the walks. And so I don't know. That's notable, and he's getting the swing and miss, but I feel like you're living on the edge if you're constantly putting guys on base. And then you talk about, like, a timely hit or 2, suddenly Arizona's got 3 runs. And I'll give you a live betting tip right here. If one of these teams is up by like multiple runs, especially if it's the Rangers, you're probably going to see like just the back end of the bullpen try to finish this game out. And so it might be a good live over at that point. I wouldn't be that surprised if you saw, like, because Mr. Expo says I'd look, he likes first 5 under. I'm not going to like totally talk you off of that. Like, I don't think that that's a horrible look. But if, like, let's say this is like 4-0 Rangers, and then like it's like the 5th inning, I bet this gets there in the end because I think you end up seeing some very like depth bullpen arms to close this one out. So that's just sort of how I see the game. All right. And I'm not going to put that one in the parlay yet, but I might. I haven't decided yet. Let's go to Have Cash. He says Braves have won 5 of 7 versus the Mets this year. Don't have the stat in front of me right now. Yeah, the Mets are that was a rough watch this weekend to watch them blow that game on Sunday. I got to admit, I was wrong about the Mets. I thought, and maybe they'll get it together at some point, but the more I watch this team, I don't know that they're going to rival like the better teams in the league right now. They don't seem to have the top tier pitching. It's now August 12th, and we haven't seen Juan Soto play to potential. And then this bullpen that I thought they totally shored up and was just insanely like going to be awesome has shown cracks, and they've blown games. It's been puzzling to me because I really thought like there was a point in time I had Mets power rated 1 in the National League this year, Bryan Leonard, and they have not looked like that for a while now. And now you go to Javi's comment. Yeah, the Braves have done well against them this year, but this is at Citi Field. Spencer Strider, Clay Holmes. How do you feel about Mets Braves?
Yeah, Holmes roughly about a 140 favorite right now, a total of 8 slightly to the over. I'm thinking a lot of people think this is the Mets are due. The Mets are due. And yeah, they're due. They've been due for a while. You take a look at the last 14 days, they're dead last in WRC plus offensively. Worst hitting team in baseball over the last 14 days. Clay Holmes, as the season has gone on, has gotten worse. Problem is, do we trust Spencer Strider? I faded him last week, and I had success in that. But the Braves are hitting much better now. They're getting guys that were slumping earlier in the season, and they're proven to be pretty good hitters, and now they're starting to come out of it. I would take the points or take the number here with the Braves. There you can get a 125 at a couple places out there, 126. If I could get something in that range, 125 or better, and there's maybe 30% of the places have that right now. I think that's a good bet because the Mets right now there's so much pressure, and not only because they're expected to do well, they're playing in New York City, and we don't talk about the Mets like we talk about the Yankees, but still, it's the same situation where you've got the press just right on you all the time. And when the Mets stink, nobody cares. But the Mets right now are playing very good baseball. They came into the season and there was talk about maybe we'd see both New York teams in the World Series. Right now, the New York fans, regardless of whose team you root for, are getting on these teams. And we talked about Boone being fired just the other day. And right now, the Mets are playing with a lot of pressure, and you're going up against Strider, who, believe me, he's not the same pitcher as he was a couple of years ago. You are not going to see the real Strider if we ever see him again until probably next year. But that said, the Atlanta bats are hitting so much better than the Mets right now. Why are they an underdog here? I like Atlanta here. And by the way, it's Tuesday. We talked about that before. It's $5 Tuesday. I like the Atlanta. I like Toronto. Neither one of those are I've got a 4% play up right now. I've got a 4% play for only $5. You want to grab that? You want to grab the 5% plays from these guys? Congratulations to Trigg on the big 5% winner yesterday. And now that we got Brandon back, let's see if we can sweep the board. We got the winner yesterday in the parlay. It was only 2 of us. Now we can build on that and get 2 in a row. And let's get hot here.
Yes, as Bryan mentioned, $5 Tuesday. I also have a 4% play out for $5 in Major League Baseball. So take a minute, go to Bryan's page, go to my page, and Adam certainly will have a $5 play out as well. Grab our $5 plays and try us out. See how you like us. 3 of the best baseball cappers on the planet. Yes, I said it. So let's get to this game. Oh, by the way, you can download my pitcher projections for free on my page at Wager Talk as well. So regarding this game, actually, if you look how both of these pitchers have done against the batters they're facing today, pretty much even. Neither one of them have excelled. Slightly below average numbers. And also I have both of these bullpens ranked exactly the same. So at 13 out of 30. So this is the closest ranked game I have on the day. The one difference that sets these two teams apart is, like Bryan mentioned, Atlanta's hitting a lot better than the Mets. But I don't know. This one seems like one of those gridlocked games where I just don't want to put any money on either one of these teams. It's not that I always lose money when I back Strider or Holmes, but man, these teams, it just seems like a gridlock game to me. Whether it's going to be 8-8 or 1-1, I just see this being a tight game somehow. But he's right. Atlanta does hit better. Bullpen's deadlocked, and I have the starting pitchers deadlocked as well. So that's how I see it. I won't be betting it.
TB, I agree. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's a weird day for me. The games that continue to pop up, I don't have huge opinions on the side, but I find myself gravitating pretty strongly one way toward a total. Now, I'm with Bryan. Bryan pointed this out about Strider back in April. So great call there, Bryan, because Spencer Strider, I mean, yeah, you were already onto this before he even got called back up. He had that 13 strikeout game in the minors. And I remember you kind of saying like, let's see how this plays out. And the weird thing about him is, like, there'll be a couple batters where he looks awesome. Like, he gets that, he throws some nasty stuff up there, gets an ugly swing, and you're like, yeah, this guy is, what we sort of have subconsciously made him over the last couple of years, right? Like, when he came up, he was borderline unhittable when he first got up to the big leagues, and he still shows signs of that. But, we talked about exit velo with Ben Brown earlier in the show. Spencer Strider's got one of the highest exit velos for any starter in big league in Major League Baseball this year as well. So that's certainly a concern. It's like he will get the swing and miss, but then it feels like he throws one down the middle and it gets roped somewhere. So that's a concern because, while the Mets are struggling, this team still can hit. I mean, they're the type of team that can sort of do it on a moment's notice. Now, I don't think they're going to just break out here because TB made a good point. The Braves have surprisingly good bullpen numbers for a team that's blown as many games late as the Braves have. The bullpen numbers are pretty good. They just don't have the leverage arms. Their bullpen is fine. They've had, and that's just Braves. That's just the Braves organization doing a good job with relief pitching. They always have. You go down to Gwinnett right now, there's still 4 or 5 relievers that are pretty good. It just takes a different mentality to be able to close games. And they just haven't had a guy this year that can come in the 9th inning in a close game and shut it down. But as far as eating up innings out of the bullpen, Braves are fine there. They have no issues with that. This Mets bullpen should be lights out. I look at this group of Mets relievers and I can't, and they're good, but I mean, this should be, you get the lead to this bullpen late and it's like, you can go do your laundry or something. You don't even have to watch the last couple of innings because it should be that automatic with this group of relievers and then having Diaz at the end there. And so, like, to see them blow that game that they needed the way that they did on Sunday is just shocking to me. And they've blown a couple like that. I do think the day off is going to help them sort of mentally regroup. And I'm TB. I see, like, Holmes is a guy that I think can hold the Braves down in the early going in this game, gets a lot of ground balls. I don't think Atlanta's going to bomb him. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. And if the Mets are in the lead and it's late and it's low-scoring, you can rest assured that they are going to throw every leverage arm that they have to make sure they win this one. They cannot afford another loss here as a $1.40 favorite at home. So you will get their best out of the bullpen. And I think I'll call it like 3-2. This feels like a 3-2 game where the Mets maybe scrape out a win. But that's kind of how I'm seeing it. I don't think it's going to get to 9 runs. So we'll go under 8.5. All right, let's move on. Let's do one more game. I have like 2 things in mind that I might put in the parlay. Tokyo Brandon, do you know what you wanted? For your parlay league, have we talked about it, or are you trying to go to a different game? Because if it's a different game, we can go to it now.
It's a different game. Shall we go to it?
Yeah, let's go to it. Start us off. Fire out the game you want to talk about.
It's not a very exciting game, but the games
they're all exciting. We're betting TV. They're all exciting.
But It's probably not going to be the most watched game today, but you don't have to watch a game to make money on it. It's going to be the Cardinals on the money line today against the Rockies. And just, I mean, simply put, yes, we are getting the Rockies' best pitcher today, but that's like saying we're getting the best looking friend of your girlfriend's ugly friends. So,
Brutal,
you know,
good analogy.
And Cardinals are 35-25 at home. Rockies are 14-46 on the road. Kyle Freeland, let's see, did I have a sample size for him against these guys? I believe I did. Let me find it. Yeah. He's got a 256 average and a 900 OPS against versus these Cardinals batters that he's facing today. It's a little high, but it's the Rockies, guys. Don't overthink things. They have the worst bullpen in the league, ranked 30 out of 30. Kyle Freeland, I have him ranked 29 out of 30 pitchers on a curve of 30. Yes, granted, the Rockies are hitting the ball okay. I got them ranked 18, where I got the Cardinals ranked 20 in hitting. But doesn't matter. It's the Rockies. And that bullpen is just so bad. How many times have you watched a Rockies game where it's kind of a tight game and the starter comes out and boom, they put up a 6-burger on the other team in one inning? It's happened at least 10 times while I've watched Rockies games. So I think the Cardinals, no problem here. I'm going to take them as my parlay. Like, I have it at minus 210.
Right now, there's a lot of different opinions on this game. You can get as low as minus 170 and as high as minus 205. I'm thinking about 185 right now is about the consensus. And I will point out that the Cardinals aren't hitting. I talked about the Mets. They're dead last. The Cardinals are right ahead of them. Their WRC plus is 78 over the last 14 days. So they're not hitting well. But you've got to have a special reason to play Colorado on the road. And you mentioned they went. It was like the game last night where they were winning going into the 8th, and then they ended up losing. So I don't trust the Colorado bullpen here, but they got it. Clearly, Liberatore's had a nice season. Freeland is who he is, but I am a little bit concerned about the Cardinals' offense. But I don't want to play Colorado on the road.
So I only have the offense is 2 points different, and given the fact that the Cardinals' bullpen is decent and their starting pitcher is much better, I think they can overcome that. Just my opinion, but I'm going to make that. I think making it minus 200 for the parlay would be fair.
185. You can get 180.
Yeah, I put 185. Okay. I think, and the thing is, like,
that's crazy.
Rockies are taking some money. Go ahead.
Well, he lives in Japan. Brian. He could play Pinnacle 170.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah. There's no way Colorado should be. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
That good.
No, you're right about that. The Rockies are such an anomaly in terms of like bad. So every single year there's bad teams in Major League Baseball. Okay, like this, especially when we get to this point in the year. Like every year there's bad teams, but the Rockies are so historically bad that I've almost had to ignore them because like it's almost like I'll make the parallel to like when the New England Patriots were in their dynasty run in the NFL, and books, they just couldn't make numbers big enough. They'd hang these crazy numbers like, they'd be like an 18.5 point favorite against they were the Redskins at the time, but like a team like Washington. And I just remember this game, and Brady would throw 7 touchdowns and they'd win by 30. Like that, that's what the Rockies feel like in Major League Baseball this year. And so like Ethan, he goes, I actually lean the Rockies in this one, but I'm in no rush to play them. That's how I feel because my numbers like the Rockies here. My numbers show value with the Rockies, which is probably why the market and some of the sharper bettors maybe took a price with them. But this team is 30-88. Think about that for a second. They are 30-88. Are they going to win one of these games eventually, sooner or later? Yes, because like just by going out and fielding a team on a daily basis. They're going to win at some point. And again, I like the idea of getting the run with them here because, I do think Freeland is a guy that at least can give you a professional outing. He can give you 5-6 innings, and he's not going to get, he shouldn't get totally crushed. Like, yeah, the Blue Jays crushed him, but I'll go to Brian Leonard's point. They haven't really hit. The Cardinals haven't really hit. But at the same time, from a win-loss perspective, I have such little faith in the Rockies winning the game, or any game for that matter, that like, even though I show pretty nice value, like this Rockies plus 1.5 bet, all things considered, I think is a good bet. Like if you were to, someone DM me yesterday and was like, is your 5% or Rockies plus 1.5? I was like, no, it's not, but that's not a bad bet. I'm not making that bet, but I'm not telling you not to. It's the way it would go in the game, and it was a 3-2 final. Kind of the way I feel here. I think if I had to bet this game, it'd be Rockies plus 1.5, but I'm with Ethan. I'm in no rush to bet this team. It's sort of like, let's just find something else. And for TB's sake, I'll be rooting for the Cardinals because, let's get that parlay win. So yeah, they are historically bad. And I think you have to really treat them just as an anomaly. It's very hard to handicap them as like a normal bad team. All right, let's get one more game in, and then I'll lock in my parlay. We have some time. Couple people want to talk Rays A's. So yeah, I had a nice winner with the Rays last night. The Rays was my 5%er, and I felt like it got there pretty easily, even though made it interesting at one point. I was like dozing off, and then someone on the A's hit a 3-run homer. Forget who it was. Woke back, got my attention real quick. Then I couldn't go back to sleep after that. So. I had a shit night of sleep last night because of that. But we move on. The Rays, it was a game they desperately needed after being swept by the Mariners. Now they come into tonight. It's Jacob Lopez. It's Shane Baz. We'll start with Brian Leonard. A's, Rays. Anything here for you?
Yeah, I had the Rays yesterday too in a winning day. Baz and Lopez. Lopez, very inconsistent, but he's been better than what we thought he was going to be coming into the season. He's turned himself into a major league pitcher. Basically, it's a pick'em situation. 106, 108, 110 favorite for the Athletics. Baz is another guy who's been very inconsistent. The total is 9 to the under here. Shane Baz comes in 4.92 ERA, 3.83 expected. So some positive regression expected there at 1.34 WHIP. Fastball velocity, 86th percentile. Ground ball rate, 74th percentile, which is probably good. And I talked about earlier about expected home runs. This stadium is expecting 33% more than an average stadium tonight. And when you throw a lot of ground balls, that helps you in that regard. I'm trying to keep it as brief as possible. Jacob Lopez, 3.59 ERA, 3.57 expected. Very nice. WHIP 1.25. He's got a lot of red, a lot of really good red. 95th expense in extension, percentile in extension, hard hit rate 94th, 93rd average exit velocity. And he does it without the greatest fastball. His fastball is at the 8th percentile, which he throws only 90.7 miles per hour. His ground ball rate is terrible. And I do have concerns about him pitching in this ballpark. He's in the 3rd percentile in ground ball rate. So you've got a fly ball pitcher, very similar to Cincinnati, a fly ball pitcher in a good home run park. That is a concern here. I think he's the better pitcher in this matchup. And but I think Tampa Bay overall is a better team, but they have not shown that. They did win yesterday, but they have not shown that over the last month or so. I'm going to pass on this one.
Guys, go to our pages. It's $5 Tuesday. We have free plays up as well. So take the 10 seconds to visit our pages at wagertalk.com. See what we got. I'm going to make this pretty quick. I've got a lot of mixed signals on this game. Like Brian said, my numbers love Jacob Lopez a lot more than I like him. My numbers love him. I don't know why. So according to my numbers, the A's here have a huge starting pitcher advantage and a huge batting advantage because the A's are batting number 3 while I have the Rays batting number 26. The reason I'm not going to play it, I mean, just looking at that and the fact that the Rays have a really solid bullpen, I would go with the A's first 5, but I'm not going to, because if you look how Shane Bass has performed against these batters in his career, amazing numbers, the best numbers of the whole day. I forgot if the sample size is small or not, but I'll double check that just to make sure, because if the sample size is small, then it's not quite as important. No, he's got a good sample size of 38 at bats against. His numbers are unbelievable. He's got a 184 average against and a 541 OPS against these batters. So any inclination I had of taking the A's first 5 got shot down by that right there. Maybe a first 5 under, but in this ballpark, no way. So I'm conflicted, so I'm not going to play it.
Yeah, I don't have. I kind of, this is one of those things where I got my money with the Rays last night. If I absolutely was forced to come back and play here, I'd probably play them again. But the setup and the spot is not even close to as good as it was yesterday, so I'm not going to do that. That being said, Lopez, way too many fly balls for me to be comfortable with him in this ballpark. So I think if I had to just throw out 2 leans, it would be Rays and over. Because I wouldn't be surprised if the A's got something off of Baz. They do handle right-handed pitching well, and that lineup, even last night, even when they went down 6-1, they didn't roll over. They had their chances. So the over got there in the end last night. I think it probably gets there tonight, and I just think that the Rays need these games so bad. They didn't play great ball over the weekend, but some of that's just the Mariners just being a really good baseball team. They were just second best to a great Mariners team. And I think if they continue to bring the effort that they brought over the weekend and then that they brought last night, more often than not against this A's team, it's going to yield a victory. So I'll call it Rays and over. Not super strong opinions on either of those. I am going to close out the parlay with one of my opinions from earlier. I'm going to use that over in Diamondbacks Rangers. I don't see how either of those teams don't get to 4 in that game, and it's 8.5. So I think if you both get, I'm not great at math, Brian Leonard, but if you both get to 4, it's not the KBO. We don't end in ties. So that 8.5 would be a winner. So let's do that. That's going to be over 8.5 Diamondbacks Rangers. And that parlay should be plus 428. So 3-teamer today. We've got Diamondbacks Rangers over 8.5. I use a minus 115 vig there. Is that accurate? Okay.
Yes.
So my leg is D-backs Rangers over 8.5. Tokyo Brandon's going to go Cardinals on the money line, and then Brian Leonard is Blue Jays on the money line. 3-teamer. We won yesterday. Let's win another one today. That's plus 428. Don't forget, it's $5 Tuesday at Wager Talk. We're all going to have plays up, and they're just going to be $5. It's a great day to sort of check out. If you're new to the site, if you've never bought plays before, it's a very inexpensive way to sort of check things out, see what you're getting. If you buy from the site. So head on over there, check that out. Give us the likes and subscribes. We really do appreciate it. And let's cash another parlay tonight. And we'll be back tomorrow morning for more Total Basis, 9 a.m. Eastern. See you guys then.